My name is Madeleine. I'm blind since birth because I was born premature. I'm a mum of 3 children. All 3 are girls. One is 8, one is 4 and one is 1. I'm surrounded by technology every day, so it's really important that technology is accessible for me.
I'm Kevin McDonough from Navoda, and we are a software development consultancy specialising in the Android platform. Before you see those with sight impairments using applications, you don't necessarily know the challenges that they have to face day to day. And so when you observe how they are using the applications that you take for granted, it makes you realise that it's your responsibility to make that an equal ground to operate on.
I feel frustrated by the fact that navigating around an app has to be so difficult at times, because it shouldn't be. You know, Apple built in accessibility and voiceover and all their Zoom settings and what have you got. It's very easy to switch voiceover on or off. You can go into settings and then into general.
Notification sound, general, button.
And then into accessibility.
General. Accessibility, general, back, large text, invert, speak, invert, large text, zoom, voiceover, on.
Android has been playing catch up in terms of accessibility, but recently it's got a lot better. And now with minimum effort, you can make quite a big difference with your application on Android. Some demonstrations of what would make an application more accessible are things like talkback and magnification. Magnification is the ability to change the size of the type on an application. Talkback, or speech output, gives you some feedback on, some descriptive feedback of what it is that you're touching and what the context is to move around in.
YouTube, wallet, voice search.
I don't want a special app developed for me. I just want that when developers are developing an app, they develop it fully accessible for everybody.
Button, find train. Button, find trains. Results.
For me, an app is accessible if it's very easy to navigate around, find the fields I need to fill in, and all the buttons are labelled. There's an online retailer which I would prefer to use for my weekly shop, but it didn't decide to label the button in such a way that it's easily accessible for me. Now, I do believe it's very easy to label these buttons in the first place, so that they don't say just button. So I now decided to use another retailer instead. I found out in the RNIB app of the month.
Items, shop, button. Offers, button. Favorites, button. Book a delivery, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.
It will tell me everything what is on the screen. It gives me all the top offers. It lets me book my delivery slot. And it's actually quicker than shopping on the computer to shop on my smartphone now.
Absolutely everyone can be aware of how to make an application more accessible and do things like adding the descriptions to buttons. I mean, you're going to lay out the buttons anyway. It's XML, it's one more line, no problem. And then when talkback's on, talkback will read out exactly what the button is. And that will make a big difference. So if you don't have that there, then you just have to guess. And imagine how frustrating that must be to not be able to get to the place because nothing's marked, and then eventually you find it like treasure. It shouldn't be like hunting for treasure using an application that everyone else can use.
My name's Natalie Doig and I'm Campaigns Officer for an Inclusive Society at RNIB. Making apps accessible for blind and partially sighted people is really important. There are many blind and partially sighted people out there that now are relying on technology like apps and mobiles to just do everyday tasks, just like everybody else. Developers can reach a huge number of people by making their apps accessible. We know that there are around 2 million people in the UK living with sight loss. But when you think about the number of older people, people with dyslexia who are going to use accessible apps, and just the fact that generally if an app is accessible, it's easier to use, it's more comfortable to use, and that basically makes it easier for everybody.
My name's Tom, I work for John Lewis and I'm responsible for the development of our smartphone apps. It's really important for John Lewis that all our customers are able to enjoy shopping with us, and that naturally means that we want blind and partially sighted people to be able to access the same information and the same products that the sighted world takes for granted. Initially, the app wasn't accessible as it might have been. We needed to work on some of the sort of technical elements of how we built the app in order to make it more user-friendly for blind and partially sighted users. We've learned that it's actually a lot easier to incorporate accessibility as sort of business as usual while developing an app, rather than doing it at the end of a development cycle. What we try to do is actually, whenever we add a new feature, we add in the accessibility, that contextual information as we go, and we find that is a lot easier and a lot more efficient. One of the elements of the app is a scanner which customers can use in store to scan barcodes of products to, amongst other things, see ratings and reviews which our other customers have submitted online. So today I'm going to meet Madeline, who's blind, and she's going to be using the app out in one of our stores to scan some products and find out what other customers are saying. Okay, so we're here in women's wear. There's some tops in front of you now. Okay.
It really changed my shopping experience. There is a barcode on every article in the John Lewis store, and through scanning the barcode, VoiceOver will tell you all the information.
Phase 8 made in Italy, pattern lace trim blouse, rose. Price match save 55, price match save 20.0%.
So I'm able to determine what the item costs, whether there is any offer, the colours, I can choose the colours of this item, and that's a quite huge leap they have made there, and they've given me a great independence in doing my own shopping.
This is lovely. I really like this.
With RNIB's guidance, it was really quick and easy to make the changes that we wanted to make. I think it was probably only 2 or 3 days development work.
At RNIB, we can offer developers lots of support and advice about making apps and mobile websites accessible. We can provide you with support, advice, workshops, we provide training, and we can also provide consultancy. For many years, RNIB has had an accessible website accreditation called Surfright, and we're working on a new accreditation for apps, which means that accessible apps can be evaluated and awarded the RNIB accreditation. We've developed some design principles for developers to keep in mind. These are: 1. Standard user interface controls with associated labels and descriptions should be used where possible. 2. If your platform provides an accessibility API, this should be used to make any custom user interface controls accessible. 3. All on-screen elements should be keyboard and/or touch accessible and have a logical tab or swipe focus order with visible highlighting. 4. Touchscreen targets should be a reasonable size. 5. Font resizing and pinch to zoom should be supported, and there should be good contrast between foreground and background items, including text and images. Finally, it's really important that you test your website or app with both automated tools and disabled users. To find out more about RNIB's services and our design principles for developers, visit rnib.org.uk/Software Access Centre or call our helpline on 0303 123 9999.
RNIB, supporting blind and partially sighted people.